think I turned off that other deal, right? I turned off the hardware accelerator. Yeah, that's off. Why is it not doing it? Let's see. There we go. Hey, I did it. I just had to check and uncheck all the boxes after a bit. Okay. We're live and streaming and Zencaster's on and everything is good. All right, here we go.
Good job, Dad.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to League of Legends Anonymous Podcast, episode 218? 118? 218? A lot of episodes. And this is the one that ends in 18. So, I am your host, Wise Papa Smurf. I am back. My basement was destroyed by my child, and then Christmas happened. So, I had Astros make an announcement because I couldn't do it because, okay, I don't know if you guys can see in the background here, but this whole area of my carpet got flooded by my child. And what happened, oh yeah, this is great. So what he did was he'd been sick. Like, I had the worst Christmas, by the way. Like, literally the worst Christmas. The day before Christmas Eve, both of my kids get vomiting sick. And I mean vomiting every 15 minutes where I'm like holding a metal bucket and I'm like, Max, throw up into the bucket, please, so I don't have to clean up any more vomit, right? Well, it's Christmas Eve. It's the next day. They still feel pretty bad, but like he wants to take a nap. And I was like, all right, cool. So he's like, I want to sleep on this couch. I said, that's fine. So he sleeps on the couch. I go upstairs. I take a nap because I was up with him till like 3 or 4 in the morning, just him throwing up constantly. I was like, I'm going to sleep. So I go to sleep. Kelsey goes to sleep. Mick is asleep. Max is asleep on the couch. Max wakes up. He has to pee. So he goes into the bathroom right over here, and he pees, and that would be fine. Except when he flushes the toilet, it doesn't go down, like it needs to be plunged, right? Well, he's 5, so he goes, well, it didn't go down. Well, then I need to flush it again. So he flushes it again. Doesn't go down. It comes up. He's like, oh, crap. Flushes it again. Panics. Leaves it that way. He's drained all the water out of the tank part of the toilet, and the flapper that keeps it from just running water into the bowl got stuck up because it's dry in there, right? So it doesn't catch and float back down. It just stays like this. And so for the 3 hours, he didn't tell anybody he had done this, of course. So for the 3 hours that it just ran and overflowed into the floor and all on my carpet. I took this shop vac over here and sucked 12 shop vacs of water out of my carpet.
12?
Here, just for everybody on the reference. This shop vac, I filled it up 12 fucking times. So
That looks like 10 gallons.
Oh, it's pretty fat. It's 8 gallons. 8 gallons.
Holy shit.
So, I filled that thing up 12 times with water out of all this. It didn't make a difference. I could still step on the pad and water would come up between my toes. And so, that was this whole area. Well, I can't make a homeowner's claim on Christmas Eve. Everything is closed. Shit. So, we have Christmas. I drive out to Clay Center, Kansas to be with my in-laws. We do Christmas there. We come back here. I make my homeowner's claim. And my basement smells so bad. Like the whole house smells so bad. And these guys get down here. They rip up all the pad. They set up a bunch of these huge fans and dehumidifiers and everything. And so I got all the furniture got shifted over. All this stuff got ripped out. My baseboards are all gone. Like everything went crazy. So they do all this stuff. All right, that's great. And for the next like 4 or 5 days, my house sounds like woo, like the whole time, just constant droning, loud fan noise. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to podcast. Looks like we're taking a week off. Because, when it's the holidays and when I'm not here to get everybody on board, it just doesn't come together. So, sorry guys, I didn't mean to leave everybody hanging for 2 weeks, but I have a pretty good excuse. So...
No, it's not good enough. You left me and Astro, and who else was on it? I can't remember. Crap. But it was wasn't the best episode, but
I'm kind of surprised that the whole Discord didn't just catch fire with me leaving everybody else here.
It came a ghost town. No one showed up anymore. There was no point.
Yeah. So that being said, we are back, and I am here to host. I'm back. Wise Papa Smurf with me is your boy Nutabutta / Tycho, aka Better Name, and we go from there. Hey, welcome back.
Give it a rest. That's all 2018. Give that a rest.
This is 2019. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. But
God.
So welcome back, buddy. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been good. I spent the last week with my buddy's family up in like northern Iowa for Christmas. His dad rages, so we drank like every day. And then a bunch of my buddies and I went to downtown Chicago for New Year's Eve and just got back 2 days ago, so I'm still recovering. And then next week, gonna head out to Colorado for a ski trip, and then back to my last semester of school.
Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome. What made you pick Northern Iowa? Were you
that's
just
where he lived.
I was
That's
saying,
his family.
yeah, but were you just like not bored enough? So you're like, let's go to Northern Iowa,
Because I decided, I'm not gonna go home for this Christmas because it's my senior year, so I don't know what's gonna happen next year. So I figured I'd spend time with some buddies, and I had a couple friends to go spend Christmas with, but it was just which one do I pick? And
it's like Northern Iowa. That is a hot.
No, but he
I can imagine a travel agent walking up and handing you a brochure for Northern Iowa, and it's just a bunch of pictures of empty pastures and a Dollar General, and they're like, yeah, Northern Iowa, man, it's a cheap flight if we had an airport, but we don't, so you have to walk here. Northern Iowa.
It's a fucking 5-hour ride. That shit was so bad.
At least there's a lot of corn on that ride, right?
A lot of corn, a lot of cheap beer. So there's that.
Yeah, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheap everything in Northern Iowa. It's on the brochure. The brochure, which is made out of corn stalks. Anyway, so that's cool. I'm glad you had fun and you saw everything that Northern Iowa had to offer in the first 3 minutes.
2 things.
Yeah, and then spent extra time there anyway. So, how was Christmas though? You have a good Christmas and or Ramadan? I don't want to assume your holiday.
What was that mean?
Yeah,
no, you cut out. My internet's so shit. What did you ask me?
No, I said, how was your Christmas or whatever? And then I said, well, or Ramadan or whatever. I don't want to assume your holiday.
It was good. They got me gifts. They got me okay, so you know about this Soldier Boy, right? How he came out with his own line of electronics?
Yeah.
The fucking Soldier Pods, but they're not the Soldier Pods. But I call them the Soldier Pods.
Uh-huh.
They're like ear pods, but they're really, really fucking sick. But it was good. Spent time with my buddy and his family, and I went hunting for the first time ever.
Did you get anything?
And no, because I am bad at hunting. Both times you're gonna laugh. Both times that I had the chance to shoot, my safety was on.
Noob
Literally,
mistake.
I had two pheasants. I had 2 pheasants just pop up next to me.
Oh, you were pheasant hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
What else do you
legit.
do in
Though.
Northern Iowa?
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Even the deer were too bored to stay around.
4
Well,
hours of my life.
I mean, there's grass here, but we're still in Northern Iowa.
Grass.
Do you guys want to go check out Colorado? Fuck it. Let's go. Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
I've had better grass, but this grass is so inexpensive.
It's the cheapest grass around.
It's the cheapest grass there is. So anyway, you said you got the cool AirPods, so that's awesome. Anything else that was like Christmas miracle happen or anything?
Just a lot of hangovers.
Nice.
A lot of hangovers.
Yeah,
But, everything's good.
Danger
it was
Penguin.
Nice it was nice taking a 2-week break from league. Thank God.
Yeah, fucking A. I mean, that's always good. Like, 2-week break is a legit nice refresher. It kind of makes the game fun again when you don't grind it out. Danger Penguin, on the other hand, I heard was visited by 3 ghosts of Christmas.
And none of them liked me. It was really quite rude. I mean,
They just
I
showed
don't
up
get that.
and they're like,
These ghosts showed
"This
up, made
mother,
fun of me.
like this motherfucker, leave him."
Yeah, Christmas was a long week, and I'm happy to be in 2019. We're bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger and better Christmases.
Yep.
All right. Well, cool, man. Did you do anything like memorable or awesome or whatever? Anybody flood your basement?
Nope. Just a lot of ARAMs.
All
A lot
right.
of Aaron.
Well, cool. With that, I guess we should get on to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. So, let me explain again why I'm going to push the same thing that I've pushed forever, right? Because I'm doing it again, and I'm sorry, but you guys are going to have to at least, I'm going to force you to listen if I can't,
Force you to watch.
force you to watch. So here's what we're doing today, and why. I've been doing a lot more coaching lately. People have been asking. I've been putting up videos, like a lot of silver and bronze and whatever coaching sessions, and I put up a few of those. And every single time I ask people, like, have you watched the UNSW Law Society videos that I want everybody to watch before we do coaching, because those videos are literally what will be our first, like, million coaching sessions. We'll be going over what the videos could teach you, so it could save me a lot of time if you'll just watch them. And I can't remember the last time someone told me yes. So I'll just put it that way, right? Like, oh yeah. Or I get this one. I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of like, I skimmed them. And
6.5 minutes.
I was
of
like,
skimming.
what? They're 7 minutes long. How do you skim that? Do you just look at the intro frame and then you're like, I got it? You know, like, no, dude, you don't skim it. Like, that's bullshit.
They probably just they skip to the slides. You know, when he puts up the slides in the videos, they just look at it and then they go to the next slide
Yeah, just
instead
like,
of watching the actual examples.
I got
It's
this.
like, oh, I get it. I get what he's talking about. Yeah.
So, I mean, it reminds me of, like, whenever the teacher in high school was like, did you read the book? And I'm like, yeah, kinda. Skimmed it. Skimmed it good.
Note it. Spark note.
Hang on, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna read, and then you do what you got to do. But whatever, right? So I've had an experience with that, and it seems like I'm covering a lot of the same stuff with people. And if I'm gonna be doing more coaching stuff, that's cool. But at least, like, I want it to be people to vest in these videos, because really, I can tell you everything about it, and I've often said I can't podcast it as well as the video can cover it, so just watch the fucking video. But if people aren't going to, then we're going to podcast it, and that's what we're going to do, because I can't make you watch the video, but hey, you're listening to the podcast, so maybe you'll get something out of it. So here we go. In preparation for this, I made both of my co-hosts today watch the fucking videos, which, by the way, was 0 for 2 on. And, whatever. So we've all watched the videos now. Just before we begin, guys, what are your first impressions on that video?
Talking about episode 1?
Yeah, let's start with episode 1. What's your first impression?
If they go in a chronological order, it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys.
I feel as though episode 1 started before episodes 2 and 3.
I'd like to do episode 2, then 6, which we didn't watch, but I assume we can watch it real quick, and then 1.
It's got a lot of good chutzpah to it. Anyway, so what'd you guys think of episode 1? So, for the record, episode 1 is about the trading stance. And, we can talk a little bit about what that is and go from there. So, what did you guys find interesting about episode 1?
Well, episode 1, basically, yeah, trading stance. I guess the key thing he wanted to emphasize was just standing by your dying minion and trade when the enemy wants to go for that CS. So that you win the trade if they try to get greedy and just get that CS, then you create, you either out damage them and make them low health, or they'll be too afraid to CS and there's a CS discrepancy. So you get a higher gold league. So essentially it's a win-win situation.
Okay, so it creates win-win. It creates win-win
yeah.
scenarios, guys. I will tell you, to go back to something that I have often said, this concept of a skill pyramid on League, right? So we have a pyramid, and in order to get to the very top of the pyramid, you have to have all these building blocks in place to build on to move up, right? And when I talk about laning, like the ability to create leads, to hold pressure, to win lane, right? This is one of the bottom building blocks. Everything else you will do. And in fact, the next 2 videos are all based on good application of the trading stance for the most part. Okay? So this is one of those things. It's a very simple concept. It's very difficult to master, right? So let's talk about how do you execute the trading stance. So first things first, you stand on the dying minion. We've covered, that's been set out, right? When your opponent goes to shoot the dying minion, you shoot your opponent, either with an auto attack or an auto attack and an ability, just whatever you need to do to hit them to do damage, because you've already burned down the cooldown of their auto attack, right? Okay. Then you back off immediately and you get out of range. You do that so they don't have time to shoot you back. Because
to avoid more minion damage.
Right, and the minions are going to acquire you after that auto attack, so you need to retreat away from them as well. So basically, imagine it's like a jab in boxing. It's the functional equivalent of a jab in boxing. Like you throw out a quick hit, you're not trying to knock them out, you're just trying to whittle them down or make them defend or, put pressure on the other person. Because if they're just standing there waiting and you don't do anything, you're going to get punched. Right? So this is the boxing equivalent of a quick jab. Right? So it's little tiny punches. Right? So if you do this properly, they're going to shoot the minion, you're going to shoot them, you're going to get out of range. Like as quick as possible. Because if you don't, or if you time it wrong, they'll shoot the minion, you'll shoot them, they'll shoot you, and then all you've done is trade. Right? Because it's just one auto for one auto, and that's just a trade. Like this is getting a free trade because you caused them to burn a cooldown. Right? So, whenever you think about it like this, like which situations would you not want to do this? And the answer is if you execute it properly, there's not really a scenario that you don't want to do this. I mean,
no, I'd say the only scenario that would occur where you don't want to punish them going for a CS is if, say, you miss out on CSing your cannon minion or something along those lines. You're still going to, because then you can do the trade, but you've already lost out on gold for that. So I'd say that's like the only scenario that pops into my head where I'm like, okay, you probably don't want to trade in that scenario because you want to get that cannon minion gold.
Yeah, okay, that would be a good one. Or now I'm thinking there may be the question assumed that you were on relatively equal footing. If they're zoning you off entirely and you can't get to the minion to trade, then you don't want to do this because you're going to get hard engaged on. You have to respect the enemy and their cooldowns and stuff. But assuming that, it's just you versus the other person and you're both CSing and whatever, yes, that is exactly kind of how you want to play it, is every time they go, it's an opportunity for pressure, right? And it sounds little and it sounds stupid to be like, oh, okay, so it's one auto attack. Okay. How many auto attacks does it take to kill somebody? You know?
Like the first 3 levels? Oh god, like
Early
that's all.
game, yeah.
Because, I mean, let's say there's
Not a
60
lot.
damage apiece, right? So 60 damage apiece, 2 autos is 120, 5 autos is 600. Most people have around 8 to
5,
900.
Wait, what levels are we talking
I
about?
was thinking like 1 through 3 because you probably
Oh,
can't
1
get
yeah.
you probably can't get off like that many auto attacks before they at least hit 3 or whatever. But I mean, let's say so you're at, let's say, 6 to 800. Okay, so
You
that's
can get 4 free autos in. Let's say just
Yeah,
4
4 free
is
autos a wave.
250 damage, right?
right.
So there you go. You've just done, you know, a third of their health. You've now
And
if they
keep in
continue to
mind,
do that,
your abilities do about 100, roughly.
Right.
I mean,
and this
some a
is
little
just
bit
if
more.
you do an auto attack trade. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're trying to throw out abilities at the same time, maximize your trading value. But just that little pressure, and obviously, as Blake said, the video does the best job of it because you can watch and see the scenarios where he walks up and says, okay, this minion's about to die. They're going to walk in this direction. You can auto attack them, use a spell, and walk away completely scot-free. So I would suggest watching the videos. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem to work. So
Yeah,
so
like I said,
we'll
the whole
describe it to you
whole purpose
with
of
our
doing
words.
this is because I cannot get people to watch the video, and I recognize that. So, but yes,
The
go
whole,
ahead.
the whole point of trading stance to me is basically taking advantage of knowledge. And the knowledge is you know exactly what your opponent is trying to do. They're walking up in a direct, you know, fashion to get to this minion to CS that minion. That means for that 0.5, 0.75 seconds, you know exactly what that person's trying to do. And you can take advantage of it by auto-attacking them, by casting a spell on them, and by doing damage for free. And then your goal is to retreat, get out of there, and do the same thing over and over again. And then by 3 or 4 minions, they're going to be worried about getting too close because now you are level 2, you have both your spells, you can lock them down, ignite them, and kill them all in one fell swoop. So that's the whole point of the trading stance, in my opinion, is that you know what they're going to do, and you can take advantage of it.
Right. And in doing that, you create CS discrepancies, you create health discrepancies, and it completely allows you to turn on a total zone protocol where you can then just stand in front of their minions and push them off the wave and deny them CS and EXP because of those discrepancies. Right? So that is how you turn like annoying someone and creating pressure into like a choke stomp. Right? Like that is not only have I slapped you around a bit, but now you don't get anything and I get everything. Roar. You know, that's what that is. And, you know, I hear people say like, oh, Blake, I'm really good. I win lane all the time. I always beat them. And I'm like, okay, but what is the CS numbers? Like, where are you at? I have 10 more CS than them, and I'm up 4 kills. Like, they shouldn't have any CS. Like, any if you're up 4 kills. Like, just stand here. And if you stand here, then they have to be way back here. Because you now have created this bubble of pressure. They can't come anywhere near you, or they're just going to die. And they're like, oh, holy shit. And it's like, if you do shit like that, not only do you win, but you make the other person useless at the same time. And that is the difference between gold and plat and diamond. Like, that's when the difference starts getting made. Because, like, you start doing these things, you do them consistently, and the amount of pressure and power you generate is like 4-fold of what it was in the previous elo, right? So I mean, and it's just little things that matter. And I will go ahead and anticipate this question because I know we're going to get it. But Blake, how do I do this in silver when my ADC doesn't do this? And they stand way back there, and I'm way over here. And they're supposed to be up here, but they're not up here because they're dumb and bad. Then you can't do it. Is the answer to that question. You cannot walk forward 1v2 and do this by yourself. You just can't. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? So,
but you can do it in solo lane. So we want to take.
oh yeah, you can absolutely do it in solo lanes. I have done it. Like, yes, I've won lanes 1v2 like that, but only on champions that are capable of doing it by themselves, and only when I'm like ludicrously far ahead to where I'm actually not scared of two people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
and another thing is like, I know one thing in LoLa people complain about the melee versus range matchup, where the trading stance is kind of, they might think it's impossible, but like in this video, like it covers it. And the example that he uses was, this is like season 5, but back when it was like Graves and Darius top, and like the one thing he said was that your goal is about the same, stand near the dying minion, but you want to use either your poke, your pull ability, your pull ability, or your dash, because almost every melee range champion has some form of that. So with something like Darius has his E, someone like Camille has her W, Yasuo, he can E the front minion, get an auto attack off, and then E out. Someone like Pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good, because if they can see, if you watch this video and you see how this person executes it, you'll be less scared to kind of get into this melee and range.
And so I definitely want to add to that, because no matter what, right, the melee champion always has the advantage in the all-in. They're built that way. Like, they're always built to win if they get on you, right? So if you play the lane such that if they get in range of me and I can gap close, I'm going to force an all-in every single time, you will just win, right? But if you play it like, oh, they're shooting me, and then you like back off and concede the lane, then you do not win, right? Like, but you have to put yourself in a position and not be afraid to take some heat to be able to like jump their face and murder them, right? So the other thing that he warns of specifically in the video that I feel like we should absolutely cover in a melee versus range is that you have to be extra careful of the minions, because they will all swarm you as a melee, because you have to be a little tighter and closer.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, you should always be wary of how many minions you're trying to trade into, because each minion attack, that you absorb lessens how good the trade was for you. So always be aware of that. How many minions you're drawing towards you, how many are going to hit, how many are going to hit them if they trade back, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And, the big thing that I want to like really hammer about trading stance is this is something that requires a shitload of practice, and you can use it to either zone or trade. And whenever I say trade, I mean you either shoot them and try to run, or shoot them, shoot back, use an ability, whatever, trade damage, or all in. Right? So, the thing that actually, we'll talk about it whenever we cover episode 3, because we're going to cover 3 episodes today of the first 3 videos. In episode 3, they talk about you need to do an evaluation every single time you get into a fight on whether it's all-in time or whether this is trading back off time, right? Every single time you need to do that, right? In my coaching sessions, I talked about, I coined a phrase that apparently got me banned off Reddit. Did you guys see this video?
I saw that you got
Did you post it?
Yeah, I posted it.
You gotta explain that.
Yeah, okay, so I got banned off Reddit for a week.
Like
because
banned or banned off
for a week off the subreddit.
Okay.
Off subreddit.
Okay.
And I don't know why. And actually, like, every bit of lawyer brain makes me want to just scream at somebody, but there's no like real way to redress this. So like, if you post a post on Reddit you are allowed to link that post on social media. But if you do, you're supposed to put this doofy-ass title that's like, hey guys, I just posted post title on Reddit. And then it's okay. But if you don't do that, then they think, or they've made up this stupid-ass dipshit rule that you are vote soliciting. Like I'm implicitly asking people for an upvote by putting it on our Discord. Right? So what I did is I was talking to Zillion, and I just clipped this part of this coaching session that I did, where I made this joke that I thought was hilarious. And so I was like, I'm going to put this shit on Reddit. This will be funny. Tap, 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 tap. And Zillion's like, what's so funny? And I was like, oh, here. And I linked him the Reddit link because I had just made the post. And they go check out the Reddit link. They're like, ha ha ha, that was funny. Neither of the motherfuckers actually upvoted me. Right? Then I get, like, 10 minutes later, I get a ban from Reddit that's like, you are a bandwagoner, vote solicitor, piece of shit, and you're banned for a week. And I'm like, what? I didn't, what did I violate? Like, I didn't solicit votes. That's not nowhere in the post that I'm like, please upvote this, or like, tell your friends to upvote this. That didn't happen. But
okay, so you posted something in this Discord. You
Right.
posted on Reddit, like something from the Discord, and then they check that link, and then they see that you.
No. I made a clip off of a Twitch session for like a Twitch VOD, right? Off of one of our coaching sessions where I made a joke.
Okay.
And then I copied that Twitch link to Reddit and made a Reddit post out of it, right? That was cool. I was talking to Zill as I was online on the headset doing it, like tap, 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 and laughing to myself. He's like, what's funny? I was like, oh, you got to check this out. Link. I didn't link the Twitch link. I linked the Reddit link into the general chat. I didn't put it in there, hey guys, I just posted this on Reddit. Go upvote the shit out of it. Tee-hee. You know, like that wasn't, it's just a blank link, and I got banned for like a week for vote solicitation. I'm not exactly sure still how I did that, because they have rules that say you can post shit to social media and shit, but you can't without putting the tag that, hey guys, I just posted this on Reddit. Has to be the title whenever you post something on social media that then goes on Reddit.
How did they know that?
I have no idea.
It's got to be a link via like the IP.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like,
I
it came from
assume
Discord, so.
I assume
That is
that
crazy. It's like,
yeah, I assume that they banned me because both of the people that watched the video within a few seconds of it being posted were both from the same link, I would assume.
Yeah, that's what I would assume too.
But regardless, I got banned for a week, which technically, by the way, is a second offense. I've never committed a first offense, nor have I ever received a warning, but they just jumped that whole first offense mess and went straight into the second offense ban
Because
for
this
a
one
week.
was so egregious.
Oh yeah, I'm a terrible person,
Yeah.
clearly. And
You're
so,
gonna be a piece of shit, we're skipping-
well, that's why I'm like,
recording.
that's why I'm like, every bit of lawyer brain in me wants to be like, your law, like your rule makes no fucking sense because it doesn't actually accomplish anything. I got 0 upvotes. I didn't ask for an upvote. So the purpose of your rule is satisfied in that I'm not bandwagoning, right? I literally linked it on a social media outlet that had 3 people online at the time. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? You know, like, what rules am I circumventing? I'm not, like, just waltzing into Fort Knox and taking out some gold bars. Jesus. So, on top of that, like, your rule, like, I just posted this on Reddit. How does that fix anything? You know, I didn't put a post up. I didn't put a name on anything. This is a stupid-ass rule. Anyway, and then, to all that aside, you skipped the punishment phase and went straight to second offense. I never had a first offense. You motherfuckers! Like,
did you tell them this or what?
yeah. And they said, you are banned for vote manipulation. That's what I get back from them. I'm like,
That's it. Oh,
thanks, guys. You guys are super cool. Good job, mods of Reddit. Like, glad that we picked you guys somehow. I don't know what, but fuck you guys for making Reddit not fun. Anyway, so here's the joke I made, and it's kind of relevant to this. I had told the guy that I was coaching that he needs to work on like his spacing, right? Which is, a lot of like trading stance kind of stuff. Like, this is when you step in, this is when you step out, right? And so I was writing like I normally do at the end of all the sessions, like 1, 2, 3, 4 things for you to work on, right? Have you guys seen any of my coaching videos before where I do that?
Right.
Yeah, so I was doing that at the end, and I wrote 1, spacing, and then I was like, hey, and I made myself laugh because I was like, hey, I want you to do a technique. I call it Kevin spacing. And that's, if anybody gets within arm's reach of you, they're going to have a bad day. So that was the joke that got me banned off Reddit. And then the guy was like, I have to do what? Kevin, what? Oh. And I was like, I was like, yeah, cool. That joke was built on a house of cards. My God. So anyway, this is what I did to get myself banned off Reddit. But yeah,
Maybe they were a Kevin Spacey fan.
Yeah, maybe. It's clearly what it had to be. The guy's probably Kevin Spacey himself. He doesn't have much going on right now.
Figured might not be a Reddit.
He's like, well, I got this criminal trial I'm about to face for grabbing them boys. Might as well do some Reddit modding or whatever. So anyway, all right, episode 2, the retaliation trade. So, you guys have watched the video. What is the retaliation trade?
The retaliation trade is when, let's say, someone gets hooked. Your ADC gets hooked. You're playing support, and instead of running or going after the support, you attack the ADC.
Okay. So, I'm going to talk. That is the greatest part of this rule. Is that in a nutshell, that's exactly what it is. Right, is turning the pressure by forcing the damage dealer to have to go away. Right, so instead of, oh no, somebody got attacked, you're providing presence. And this is, I refer to it as presence, he refers to it as a retaliation trade. Presence is a more wide and general concept, and that is just being close to someone can often save their life. Right? Because the person, this is like my low elo pet peeve. Actually, I said this on stream last night, that this was my low elo pet peeve. Is when somebody gets caught at any elo less than mid gold, everybody just goes, you're fucked! And then they leave.
Good luck with all that.
And they're like, whoa! Shit! That's bad for you, buddy! Peace out. It was great knowing you. Oh, Captain, my captain.
in your absence.
Yeah. And, it's insane to me because if they just step up, then odds are the person who's killing your partner will then have to make a decision. It's like, oh, if I shoot this guy to try to kill him or finish him off, then I'm going to take a bunch of damage and I may die. So, yeah, maybe I don't want to. Right? But if you don't step up, they go, I'm going to kill that motherfucker. And then he just dies, right? Like, that's it. So, providing presence, and this is the joke, is even when you don't have any cooldowns, most of the time in, below gold, everybody assumes that you have every cooldown that you've ever used, even if you just used it. Right? Like, did you just miss the Blitzcrank hook? I guarantee you they're going to treat you like you have it up. Doesn't matter. They don't care. I mean, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's wrong. It's bad play. But it's also something that's all the time that's what happens, right? So the concept of presence, I don't see it below plat. Hardly at all. The retaliation trade is exactly that, but very specific to kind of bot lane, right? So again, just to set back the stage so we can talk about this video. If your partner gets all in, you don't just run away. You create pressure to try to disrupt the all in, one way or the other, right? And he uses it from the viewpoint of the ADC. The same thing can be done from the viewpoint of the support, right? So, example, if a Thresh hooks my ADC, I'm going to immediately make a play on their ADC. So that way the follow-up damage doesn't come through. So like if I'm a Nami, I'm going to Nami bubble their ADC to keep him away from mine. Right?
Or to let your ADC start attacking for free.
Right.
Without the ADC attacking them back, yeah.
Right. So I mean that's the whole kicker is like all is not lost. They just got the advantage in that they did damage first. That's it. Right?
And they use their cooldowns first.
Right. So they
Right.
used their
That's the
cooldowns
other
first. They did damage first. That's the advantage that they got. If you run away, they get everything. Right? Because they got that damage, they got that advantage, and they'll probably get a kill because you ran away. Right? Because they can just continue to do damage. If you use your abilities, you've traded their CC and damage for your CC and damage, and you've tipped the scales back to a balance point. If that makes sense. Right? Okay. So the next thing is they talk about it is important when you're doing this. The whole key of it is abusing cooldowns and their lack of cooldowns in particular, right? So again, Thresh just hooked your ADC. That is at level 1, 18-second cooldown, I think. No, I think they may have just lowered it a little bit. But
I think it's 16 and then 3 if you hit something.
yeah, if you hit it, it's -3.
Minus
So,
3, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you're still talking like a 13-second cooldown, right?
Yeah.
Flay, that's pretty legit cooldown too, and then he's gonna auto.
Lantern.
Yeah, and then Lantern. I'm assuming he's not even level 3 yet. We'll say level 2.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Level 2. Okay.
Okay, so you got those 2 cooldowns. He's hooked you. He's flayed you. He's done. He can't do anything for another like minimum 10 seconds. Okay, so you have 2 abilities. Your ADC has 2 abilities. So your whole goal here is to abuse that cooldown imbalance. If you leave before you do that, you have left 2 unused abilities on the table out of 4. So half of your bot lane's arsenal remains unfired. Right? So it's kind of like one of those things. If somebody punches you, it is better to punch them back, even if you're not going to be able to hit them as hard, because you don't want them to just punch you and then not take anything for it. That creates an imbalance, right? So you have to rebalance out the cooldowns. Also, you're abusing that they now have no cooldowns. Like, this is my favorite. When people play Morgana support and they miss the Q, Morgana does nothing after that. Like, what's she going to do? She's going to put down a pool under you that's going to do 1 tick of damage and you're going to walk out of it. And then she's going to pepper you with the world's weakest auto attacks. Oh no! You know, like, I'll kick your ass, Morgana, if you pull that shit on me. Right? I mean, you missed everything. You're free to be hurt. Right? You're barely a champion. Or like Blitz. Like, he misses the hook. Everything that he does after this point requires him to be that far away from you. I'm holding my fingers closely together for everybody who's
Playing the
listening
world's
right
smallest
now.
violin.
Like, he has to be on top of you to do damage, and if he's not a threat to you. You get to beat his face in. Right? He needs to take heat for that. Right? Okay. So, to do any of this retaliation trading, you have to not be scared of taking damage, right? Your health bar is absolutely a resource for you. And I don't see people think of it that way, right? So you are alive unless you have 0 hit points. If you have 1 hit point, you are alive. You need to calculate if whatever you're about to do is going to drop you below 1 hit point. Anything up to that point, you're good. Like,
You're not wrong.
so, I mean, it's I'm being really extreme whenever I say this, but that's the kind of mentality that makes you lane dominant. Like, that's the whole point. So, you can't be afraid of taking that damage, particularly whenever you're trying to push an all in, right? So, the common thing that you're going to do in this scenario is you're going to dump everything on the ADC. And the reason you're going to do that is because the support has already used their cooldowns. So they are no longer, I mean, everything that they would have done to be threatening is over. Right? So the only other person that's going to do damage at this point is their ADC. So if you can turn the fight onto that ADC, then you can win at that point. Right?
And I think that's the big kicker, right? Is a lot of times you get all in, like you said, either people run away, which is a very common instinct, or they use their cooldowns on the support. They're like, oh, the support's the closest thing to me. I'm going to root the support. I'm going, like if I'm the support, like and my ADC gets grabbed, all of a sudden I'm going to blow all my cooldowns on the support, which is usually tankier, and like you said, doesn't have any value in the fight anymore. Instead of maybe stepping into a position where I might be a little more vulnerable, but I can now get to their ADC. And one of the big kickers is you need to get to that ADC, because if you can just force them back, let's say you don't even get a kill, but you force them back and they have to back, now you've got the wave back into a manageable spot. But if you spend everything on the support, let's say you kill the support, but the ADC lives, ADC is still going to be CSing that entire time, gaining experience, gaining gold, and that is not what you're looking for if your ADC just died. Mm-hmm. So that's the real kicker, and I think it's really hard to get through people's head, because you see that support and he's standing right in front of you and he just blew his cooldowns, and you're like, all right, let's get him. Mm-hmm. That maybe
you're like, target of opportunity, he's right here.
Exactly. Yeah. But the key is there's so much else that's going on in this game. Yes, you could even kill that support, but it doesn't matter if that ADC takes out your ADC and you're left in lane as a support and their ADC is left in lane. They've just gained gold advantage, they've just gained experience advantage, and they've gained control over the lane. Mm. And you did that because you took your opportunity on the support that was close, but you have to get that out of your head, and that's why the positioning and stuff that you see in the video is very helpful.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Because the next rule he has to all in, and this is super important, I don't see people do this, right? You have to compromise your position in lane. So what does that mean, guys? Like, what does it mean whenever you see compromise your position?
I have to walk out of the bush?
It means you're basically almost in melee range of the support.
Yeah. So, like, normally, what would happen is you're over here, they're over there, you shoot at each other and lob across, right? Like, think about like a World War II battlefield where I have my trench and they have their trench, and we shoot at each other across the trench, right? The all-in is the point where somebody screams charge and everybody gets up and runs out of their trench and makes a mad dash for the next trench, right? Like, you're throwing grenades, you're running across no man's land, you're going fucking nuts because this is your moment, right? Cool. That's all-inning, right? If you do anything less than that, you will not win. Okay? So, example, half of your team, like, you're the Allies, right? The Nazis just got airstriked. Their trenches are in disarray. Their machine gun turret just exploded. And your sergeant's like, charge! And then, like, most of your friends get up and start running, and you just stay there. Right? Like, that ain't gonna work. You're not gonna get it done, and you probably just killed all your friends. Like, old Johnny from northern Iowa, he's not gonna come back home and be bored. You know, like, they're never gonna see him on the farm again. That corn's gonna have to grow itself, Pa, because you didn't get out of the trench. So, that being said, you need to actually make moves whenever it's time, right? And compromising your position means moving forward into them so you can continuously shoot and put pressure, right? So you're breaking your line to make sure you chase them down as they try to run away, and you continuously shoot. So it's like kiting forward, right? Like that's the idea, is you're moving forward so you can continuously put heat on them.
Dad. Okay, so this is like, so this scenario, like we were talking about, like it's as if like if they engage first, like if they have a Thresh, Blitz, Leona, or something with an engage. So like now every situation is not perfect. So what about in a situation when the support is a Soraka and Brand or Vel'Koz, you know, very squishy supports, or like let's say their ADC or you as an ADC is too far away to engage on the enemy ADC, right? So like, what do we do in like these these situations, right? So like, for me, it's like one of the golden rules, like always attack the Soraka, right? But if you even have half a brain as a Soraka, you're going to be almost beside your ADC or behind your ADC, just healing them. So once Blake gets back, hopefully he can help us with this question.
Well, see, I think one of the things is, yes, League of Legends is a very fluid game, right? There are a million different scenarios that you can present. I think one of the key points that he points out in the video is removing the ADC from the fight helps in many different areas. Like we said, experience, gold, if they have to back. Now, obviously, if you have a full health Soraka, they're going to stay in lane, and she's going to bullshit her way through the lane, right? That's just what's going to happen. But so if she steps forward and gets out of position, absolutely punish the fuck out of the Soraka. You want them gone. But the retaliation that we're talking about is when they come in below their cooldown. So let's say it's a Soraka. She comes in, she thinks that she can root you and she can Q you, and you're in trouble. And then the ADC comes in. Well, she just blew her 2 big cooldowns, right? She just blew her Q and her E, and those have 10, 12-second cooldowns on them early level. And now the ADC comes in, you still want to punish the ADC because you can still remove them from because they're the ones who are now going to do the damage. Soraka's bananas aren't hurting anyone, all right? They're just a banana.
Those bananas hurt, bro. You can slip.
I can't figure out how to make a joke about a potassium deficiency, but that's what I was going to go for. So Soraka comes down to your basement door and starts screaming, "Dad! Dad! Dad!" And then so you get her the Donkey Kong game and you send her back upstairs, and meanwhile you kill the ADC. And that's what we're trying to get at here. That's how it works. So, okay, so if, again, in the moment you have to make that decision, like, is this an all-in moment or am I going to trade, right? So how do a trade is, instead of them all-inning, we're just going to trade some damage back and forth, and we're going to go back. The distinguishing factor between when do you all-in and when do you trade, right, is, am I capable of getting a kill? That's the question that you need to ask. Like, if I throw everything I have at target, do they die? Right? So you have to think, like, what are the cooldowns? What are the summoner spells? Where's the jungler? All these things are, like, flipping through your head, right? Or if you're, me, you're thinking about a few of those things, and then you forgot about the jungler, and his ass shows up, and then you get pissed, because you're like, why the fuck is Gragas always here? So, like, these are things that have to go through your head whenever you're, like, considering on, is this a trade or is this an all-in, right? So if it is a trade, you need to trade off whatever damage you're going to trade off and then back out. Don't get bloodlusted. Just kite back, right? Because there's a lot of times that I see people, they make the wrong decision, they throw everything they've got, and then they stay in, and it wasn't close to enough, right? And then they just get destroyed on the counter trade, right? Because, okay, so you're Leona, you go all in, you hit them, and your ADC's like going that way, and you got no backup. What are you going to do now? Your auto attacks don't do dog shit for damage, and they're just going to shoot you 100 times as you slowly trickle away, right?
And that's what makes this, the retaliation stance, I think, especially difficult, is because you need to be on the same page as your partner, right?
Yeah.
So if you really want to practice this and try and make it work in solo queue, and you're just queuing up as, say, support, and just at the start of the game be like, hey, you're up against a Thresh. Hey, if Thresh hooks you, go all in on the ADC. Just type that at the start. That doesn't mean that they will, but if they get hooked then you at least have a plan in place.
And here's the thing, like, in the video they talk a lot about, well, do the quick decision making on am I trading or am I all-inning, right?
Right.
What I would say is while you're learning this, don't do that. Just go all in every time. And the reason I say this is like, this is advice that will not work, and I know it won't, right? But I'm telling you, the reason I'm telling you to go all in every time is because it will work often, and then you'll go, huh, I didn't know I would actually win that if I went all in here. That's crazy. Okay, so that was good, right? And then the times that it doesn't work, you're like, okay, it didn't work that time. Why not? And then you kind of start redrawing all the lines and rewriting all the rules that you wrote in your head for how shit works and doesn't work as you played your way through Silver. Which, by the way, those rules are not accurate and need to be broken before you can realistically climb to like a much higher elo. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So we've talked about, don't get bloodlusted if you're just doing a trade, but I don't want you to just do a trade, just all in and see what happens every single time. It may completely backfire, but you'll learn something from it, and that's the whole point.
Trial and error.
Yeah, it's not about winning, it's about experimenting and learning. Right? Like, you'll win later.
After your fifth time that, okay, that's because we went into too many minions this time, and right there you've now learned, okay, shouldn't do it with this many minions when we have this many, and then you'll understand, okay, what situations it work and what it doesn't. But if you go all in multiple times, you'll start seeing it in a greater scheme.
Mm-hmm. So he lists out some engage and analysis things, and that's, like I said, these are the checklists you run through whenever you're like, oh shit, somebody got hooked, right? And that's what cooldowns does the enemy have? Where's their jungler? Will I die if they turn on me? Can I kill them? Right? And the reality is, if their support has already dumped everything on someone else, you probably won't die if they go on you because there's no CC. Right? Like, that's already been dumped. So that generally weighs in your favor, which is why I said just go ahead and all in every time almost, because you'll learn and you already have this in your favor.
And they don't expect it.
And they will not expect that.
Right? You hook someone at a Thresh, you're like, oh, they're going to run from me. Oh, shit. He turned around and just started pelting the shit out of my
God. Yeah. So the key takeaways to this thing is if your partner gets all in, don't run away. Go ahead and all in the ADC. You need to habitually perform engage and analysis. Don't be scared of taking damage. And the golden rule of bot lane is the enemy can't focus both of you at once. So like the number one thing that you should never do in bot lane is run at the same time as your ally, because then nobody contributes damage. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Video 3, lane control.
Let's see it, Blake.
All right. So for video 3, the key topic of lane control is we're using the trading stance. We're using retaliation trades. You are going to use this to manipulate your position in lane and your opponent's position in lane by flexing strength at points. Right? So the other things that we have talked about are things that you can work on. It's silver, and then at mid gold. These are the things that, like the trading stance is bronze, silver plus. The retaliation trades, that starts happening in mid gold. And then lane control is all the way up to diamond. In fact, I see diamond players that do not do this all the time. Like all the time. So, yeah, so this is, you're taking the other stuff that we've already learned, and we're converting that into like lane pressure, right? So what you want to do is in and during the laning phase, he has something called the trade and push phase, where all you're doing is you're attacking minions as fast as you can, and you're doing that to push the lane and to lock in an early EXP advantage. Anybody that has ever played League with me ever knows that I hammer constantly on getting the level 2 advantage early and then doing a hard trade or an all-in if possible, right? Like right away. I got level 2, I'm compromising my position, I'm forcing an all-in or summoner spells for disengage or whatever, shit's going down, right? This is kind of what his trade and push phase is I'm going to trade, I'm going to do as much auto attacking, I'm going to trade with my abilities, but I'm also going to try to hit the minions when I trade. Right? So I'm auto attacking on cooldown, hitting the minions every single time, but I'm also using my abilities to harass the other person and to help clear the minion wave simultaneously. Right? There is a really good video at the end of this that shows this kind of trading that's done between two Caitlyn's in the bot lane, and he talks, you can see them both just shooting minion, shoot minion, shoot minion, shoot minion, shoot minion. And then at one point, the narrator makes a positioning mistake, and Caitlyn, the other Caitlyn, gets a free trade of one auto attack. Yeah, due to trading stance, gets a free one auto attack trade. And then at that point, the guy just goes into, I'm going to kill you now. Like, he starts moving forward and just shooting the opponent because he knows I have a damage lead on the other person. And if we keep what I am doing up, they will die before I do. Right? And like, as a diamond player, I would have never even thought, like, oh, you have one auto, right? You have a one auto lead. That's the end of laning phase. But that's what he did. He goes, oh, I have a one auto lead, so now I can kill him. And I went, oh, holy shit, he's right.
Yeah.
Because it's Caitlyn on Caitlyn, so they do the same damage. They have the same items. And, yeah, if they just keep auto attacking all the way back to the tower,
first one wins.
first one to do damage wins. Holy shit. I hadn't even considered it, but it's 100% correct. And that's the kind of like mentality that you need to have to convert pressure into advantage, right? And it literally caught me. This was one of the better videos for me because that clip caught me entirely off guard, right? Like, I watched it and I went, oh my God, like, wow, he's right. And like, I'm a pretty aggressive player. I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't even come across my mind that it's like, oh, we have a one auto attack lead. Push it to death.
Yep.
You know,
Charge.
I was like, that's crazy. So, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff that like, that's the difference, right? And that's whenever people talk about how like, oh, they got a longsword before the lane in Challenger game. You know, that lane's over, right? And you go, well, what? Like, how is that lane over? You know, well, if you don't make positioning mistakes, and they are willing to all in you every single fucking time because they have 10 more damage than you on every auto attack, then you lose, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you push it to the limit, then you lose. And even at Diamond, I don't see people with that mentality of like, oh, I'm up 10 damage, push it to the limit. You know, like that doesn't happen, right? So that's the thing is I know that if I don't see that, you guys don't see that. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't happen where I'm playing, it doesn't happen below that. So there you go. Okay, so how do we turn these advantages where like I now have an advantage, I've pushed, I've got an EXP advantage, or I have an item advantage, or I have whatever. Like, how do we turn that into something, right? So if you push so hard that the minion wave crashes into tower and then resets in the middle, right? Or resets on their side and starts pushing towards you, that's even better, right? Then you get the minion wave to where you want it to be, you stop it just outside of your tower, and then you move onto the, after you prune it to a reasonable size, you move to the other side and make them fight through you to get to the minions. Right? The act of pushing somebody completely off the wave and forcing them to fight and all in with you to get minions is called zoning. Right? And that is the hardest level of zoning, is you move completely to the other side of their minion wave and you CS where they would normally be CSing from. That pushes them all the way back and off, or they have to commit to an all-in to break your zone, or they have to call down their jungler to break your zone. Once you have this zone, you freeze the wave. You do no damage unless you have to, and you leave it exactly where it is. And if you can maintain that for 2 or 3 minutes, you can lock them out of, you know, let's see, 2-3 minutes, 6 waves of CS. 6 waves of CS times 6 minions a wave, so, and then plus a couple others. Okay. Yeah. That's 36, 38 CS. That's 2 kills. And no EXP. Right? If you've done that, if you do just that, you win lane. Because not only can they not fight you after that, but you can continue to use that you are so much bigger than them to do this over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you've got an advantage now. And that's, I never see low elo players do this. Like I never see, they get big and they return right back to the position that they would have been in if it was 0-0. Right? Like I'm going to stand over here, you're going to stand over there, you're going to shoot, I'm going to shoot, and we're going to shoot across.
It's like Revolutionary War stuff, not the Civil War now. It's Revolutionary.
Right. Like
I
am on my hill, you are on your hill. We will each pack a bunch of shit into our gun. We will fire once, and then for 3 minutes we will do nothing. And then we will fire again! You know, and God only knows. Our guns are only accurate for 10 yards, so whoops. But no, I mean, it's like that.
It's because they're afraid to be so far out there. They think like, I got this lead, so I want to be next to my minions because now I got my strength plus my minion strength, which is bigger than your strength and your minion strength, but they don't realize, like, yeah, you have double the strength, so push him out of his minion wave. I think they're just afraid to, like, risk themselves for a jungler gank and probably get that aggro from the minions.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Like, that, it is fear, right? But fear should not control how you play League of Legends. Like, a large part of being good at League of Legends is not being afraid to try harder techniques. The people that
when
get
you see those
good,
crazy all-ins on, you know, like VODs and stuff like that, it always happens when they walk away with 8 hit points, right? Well, that's because they used all of their hit points to do that sweet move. You know?
Okay, so I can tell you, I have done. You have no idea how many like awesome, badass Thrush plays that I have made where I flashed the wall, I threw the hook at max range, clipped that son of a bitch, went back, threw the lantern, pulled my friend in, flayed him, right into my ultimate that I hit right upon arrival. Ha ha! Clip that shit. We're posting it on the fucking Reddit. I'm going to get banned, but it's totally worth it. I've done so many of those plays. But what you don't see is how many times I have flashed forward, missed the hook, went, oh fuck, and then died because I mechanically failed to execute the technique, right? And I'll tell you this, if I clipped it, there would be a hell of a lot more clips of that than there are of me doing something amazingly awesome, right? But I will never, ever be able to pull off that fucking cool clip highlight reel play if I don't try to pull it off the 20 times before that and fail 15 out of those 20. Because I'll tell you this, my fail rate on those kind of plays has flip-flopped from when I started. Right? I used to fail 15 out of 20 times. Now I fail 5 out of 20 times. And that's because I practiced it. Right? Have you ever played Guitar Hero on Expert? It's not very hard. I mean, I've done it now.
I call it more like struggling to hit a
note.
But
I've done it. I've done it now. The first time I had to play on hard, and I had to pick up that little orange key, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking impossible. How the fuck do people do this? And then by the time I got to the end of hard, I'm like, this shit's easy. And then I play it on Expert. I'm like, holy shit, these chords are impossible. And then I played them for a while, and then I could play shit on Expert.
Sorry, I'm more used to Donkey Kongos.
Oh, those were fun. I had those. I still have them. Man. I still have them here somewhere. But these kind of things, unless you try and fail, you will never get better. And people have this concept of well, I'll just spontaneously get good at difficult mechanical plays if I just play every day. No, you won't, because you have to try those plays and you have to fail, just like a tower dive, just like anything. You'll never learn to tower dive unless you commit to actually trying it, and you'll fail the first several times, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that you're bad at it right now, and you'll get better.
The thing is, these high elo players, they still fail at these simple things that low elo players can get. I mean, you're going to fail regardless, so just do it. Maybe it'll work out.
Yeah, so what? The only time failure at League of Legends is truly awful is when you learn nothing from it.
Or you cost me my promos.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's about it.
All right, so zoning. When do you not want to zone? And the answer is when you're against really strong junglers that have super good gank potential, or you're against an Annie, a Thresh, or an Alistar, somebody who can destroy you, burst you, or lock you down so long that you can't meaningfully do anything back. Right? If you get caught, you're probably dead, or a Blitz should be on this list. Yeah. Right? You don't want to try to zone a Blitzcrank.
He zones you. If you're getting, if you're zoning a Blitzcrank, they're doing something wrong.
Right. So I mean, that's first things first. That should be good. That's when you don't want to zone. Every other time, if you're that much stronger, then yeah, you need to be zoning because you can really not only do you get stronger because you're the only one getting resources, but you slow their ability to get resources down to a trickle. And then when you go back and buy, you spend an advantage, and now it's twice as bad. Right? And so you do it again.
Either position can do this zoning, right? So as support, I can walk forward as Alistar, stand right next to their caster minions while my ADC, hopefully near me. You still need to stand near them, because otherwise I am now 1v2. But have the ADC near you and just CSing as normal, but you stand forward because now your potential to get them is further forward.
Okay,
Right?
so I do want to talk about this because this is something that they didn't cover in the video that I think is necessary, right? So the rule of thumb in bot lane is if I took the lane, and you guys will have to kind of look at the YouTube video if you're watching it to understand 100% of what I'm talking about, but I'll try to put it in words as best I can. But if you imagine the lane as like a line going from the bottom left corner of your screen to the top right corner of your screen, right? Wherever you are in this lane, you need to, if I drew a line perpendicular or at a 90-degree angle to that other line, you and your support need to be on the same line or damn close to it. Right? So if you're at a 90-degree angle, it'll be like towards the top left corner of your screen. The line will go in the same direction every single time, and you and your support need to be on the same line. If your support's up here and like closer to the top right and you're closer to the bottom left, you're fucking up. Right? Or maybe they're fucking up because they're way too far forward. But either way, you guys need to be together or else you are in a 1v2 and you don't even realize it. Right? Because and on the video that I made the Kevin Spacing joke, there was a period where I stopped and I paused the game and I drew this line and I drew where the support was and I drew where the ADC was and then I drew how far Flash was. I was like, you are 2 flashes from your support. If they get engaged on you, can't do shit. You know, like, that's no good. You're way too far away. They're in a 1v2 right now, and they don't even realize it. Fortunately for him, the enemy team didn't realize it either. So, okay. So, yeah, you want to do things like trade as often as possible in these kind of scenarios because you're going to be stronger, so the trades only benefit you. And then you can transition this into either a tower dive or just go rotate over and take dragon. Because again, they're not as strong as you. So you can just go over and take dragon and win a 3v3 probably.
And take objectives. Mm-hmm. That's what wins you games.
And, you know, call for your jungler if you need to. That's totally fine. Right? So, yeah, you just whittle the other person down and you beat the shit out of them easily, right? Okay, so when do you just do a straight, I'm going to push it as hard as I can into the tower, reset, and freeze? You do that if your enemy cannot be whittled down easily. If you're going to drive that large wave that you've slow pushed this whole time into the turret and let the enemy wave, like, kill off your wave, and then freeze it on the bounce back closer to your side. That will give you more space to zone, and it'll let you reset your lane's position at a very basic level, right? Obviously, people don't really think about lane minion movement lower than Diamond. I don't see plat players ever. I mean, sometimes they do, but that's kind of a rare skill even in Platinum. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that to disparage plat players. Like, I was there. I don't see it a lot in Diamond either, right? It's just the wave just kind of is where it is, and okay, right?
I still haven't mastered wave management. Like, I tried. I think some games I might have gotten lucky without realizing it, but...
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, people just don't really consider it. It's not really that big of a deal. But if it's something that you can control, you can actually strangle your opponent out harder than if you just kill them.
Yeah, it's so hard for people when there's like 10 CS there not to just grab all the CS and now all back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I just blew up all these CS and now everyone meets again and now it's a little bit more on your side, right? So you've now flipped it over towards the turret you're going after, which opens you up for ganks and everything like that. And if you had just pruned off like the caster minions, it actually would have gone the other direction. It's so hard though. I mean, I'm guilty of it over and over again. I have all that CS. There's free gold. I take all of the gold. but if you actually just took part of the gold and then went back, you would be able to affect so much more later.
Okay.
You know, when you come back.
So I think we've covered this pretty well, but I do want to acknowledge Twitch chat because the guy had like a couple of really good quotes in here that I want to mention that I guess we covered. So he says, knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's a winner. That's a winner. You miss all the shots you don't take is a Wayne Gretzky quote, but also a Michael Scott quote, quoting Wayne Gretzky, if you're an Office fan.
Michael Scott.
Yeah. And then the last one that I actually particularly enjoyed, they kind of summed up everything, is the difference between a master and an amateur is that amateur, I guess, but however you want to tomato. I'm trying to be fancy. Is that the masters failed more than the amateurs tried.
Ooh, I like
Damn,
that.
that's deep.
Money.
I think we can end the podcast right there. I think that's awesome. So
wrap it up. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to try.
it's like that Disney song, "Don't be a bitch."
Yeah, I like that Disney song.
It was on Aladdin, I think. It was right before Magic Carpet Ride. It was "Don't be a bitch, get that lamp." Get the lamp. It was in parentheses. Don't be a bitch. Parentheses. Go get that lamp.
We're getting that lamp.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we will wrap it up. Announcements. The tournament got moved to like the 16th. Zilla is still like putting together everything. Turns out trying to organize a tournament over the holidays is a foolhardy thing to do. And it didn't work. So he needs more time. Sorry for the inconvenience, but that shit should all be posted soon. He's on it. He's a hardworking man. He's what was I gonna say? It wasn't Paul Bunyan. Who's the steel driving man? It's from Fables or whatever. The guy like Jack Henry. Jack Henry is the steel driving man. Zill is
it John Henry?
That's it. It is. You're right. John Henry was a steel driving man, and Zill is a team making man. He's working on it. He's pounding those railroad spikes. I don't know what good that does for making teams, but he seems to be hard at it. So this will come around. The 16th, I think, is the date. I want to say.
So, yeah.
But yeah, if you don't know, just check the Discord. It's in the announcements. Also, hang out in the Discord. It's a great place to be. And with that, do you guys have anything else you want to mention before we shut it down?
No. Please, people, watch those damn videos so Blake doesn't have to keep talking about this.
Oh, no, we're going through all of them. That's going to be the next several podcasts. So, fuck you guys for not watching the videos. We're going through everything. Homework time. Peace out, everybody. Good night.